This here might be one of the brightest weatherproof RGB LED panels I've ever come across. This is the Godox Knowled P1200R Hard Pro, and today we're going to take a closer look at it. Now let's get straight into what makes this light unique or interesting. The P1200R is a 1200 watt 2x1 incredibly powerful panel light. It has a maximum output of 16,245 lux at 3 meters without any modifiers attached, which in other words is really bright. If we compare that to a COB equivalent of this light, let's say the Aperture 1000C, you're getting 14,200 lux at 3 meters, 5600 Kelvin with the standard wide reflector attached. However, with a COB light like the 1000C, you do have the option to attach a more narrow reflector, and that will give you up to 70,000 lux at 3 meters, 5600 Kelvin. Obviously, this is a very different type of light source. Now, with the high output that the P1200R has to offer, this thing is built for handling big sets, but also situations where you need that extra punch of output, like for example, if you're competing with daylight. And the R in its name stands for RGB. So this light is not just daylight only, not just bicolor, but full RGB as well, which again is pretty awesome for a powerful panel light like this. In CCT mode, the P1200R has a range from 1800 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin with adjustable green magenta shift. So you can easily match it to interior lights or any other fixtures you have on set. It has an average CRI of 96 plus and a TLC of 98 plus, which is really good and what you'd expect from a light at this price range. The Godox P1200R comes with this removable quick release yoke, which you will need to mount the panel onto a light stand. The bracket clicks into the mounts on the panel and then you lock it into place, so it's a really easy system. This mounting design also allows you to easily install multiple of these lights on the optional dual or triple light bracket. Alternatively, you can use the rings on each corner of the light and hang the panel in a top-down position using cables. The Godox P1200R is incredibly durable and very high build quality. It's IP65 rated weatherproof, so that means you can even use it in heavy rain no matter how it's mounted or positioned. Now this thing is pretty heavy, weighing in at 22 kilograms or 48.5 pounds, so mounting it anywhere is pretty much a two-man job. You'll notice that this panel doesn't have an external control box like you often see with high output lights like this one. Instead, all the controls are on the light itself. Now this obviously gives it a much smaller footprint, but in some cases I would personally prefer to have that control box. That way, when the light is mounted up high somewhere where I can't reach it, I would still be able to control it. Now there are definitely plenty of controlling options for the P1200R. It can, for example, be controlled with the Godox app. The app is pretty straightforward and easy to set up and use. Once the light is connected, you have access to all the different light modes where you can adjust the settings very easily. Additionally, this panel also has DMX and CRMX control, so you really have a lot of controlling options with this light. One of the problems with LED lights, and especially really bright ones like this one, is that when you turn them down to their minimum output, they are sometimes still actually much brighter. The P1200R, however, can be dimmed down to 0.1%, and in this setting, it's actually really dim. So it's great that you can make this powerful light very dim as well. Now looking at the different modes the P1200R has to offer, we've got CCT mode where you can set your Kelvin values from 1800 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. And you can also dial in your green magenta shift. Next up is HSI. Here you can set up your desired hue and saturation to get whatever color you want. In RGBW mode, you can also dial in your colors using the red, green, blue, and white adjustments. In gel mode, you can choose from a wide range of industry standard filters. In XY mode, you can set the X and the Y coordinates to find the color you need. And lighting effects is something that is pretty standard nowadays on LED lights, and the P1200R is no different and has 14 different lighting effects, such as flash, broken bulb, TV, fire, police car, and of course everyone's favorite, party mode. One thing that's always great to see is that Godox offers a very wide ecosystem of modifiers for the P1200R. Using this adapter, you can slide in a diffusion panel, and that will give you a nice soft light while still keeping the light very compact. With this adapter attached, you can also combine different modifiers. So you can add in a honeycomb grid to reduce any spill, and there's also a barn door attachment for even more control over the light. Now you do have to purchase this adapter separately for $179, and I would have preferred Godox to just include it with the light and not be an optional extra. Godox also has a few different softboxes for the P1200R, one of which is this rectangular one, and I think you can get a pretty nice looking soft light with this softbox. It also comes with a grid in case you want to add a bit more control. Another really interesting modifier for this light is the Space Light softbox. This will turn the P1200R panel into a soft 360-degree light, which can be great for illuminating large sets. This Space Light also has a skirt, so you can direct the light downward and reduce any spill towards the sides. The Godox P1200R is priced at $5,290 US, and there really aren't a whole lot of alternatives to compare this light with. One is the Litepanels Gemini 2x1 Hard. This one costs nearly the same at $5,985. It is a bit brighter with an output of 23,000 lux at 3 meters 5600 Kelvin, and it's also half the weight at 11.5 kilograms. But it only has an IP rating of 20 instead of the IP65 on the Godox, and it has a slightly less CCT range from 2700 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin compared to the 1800 to 10,000 Kelvin on the Godox. Another one at this price range is the Arri Skypanel X at $5,950. This one is IP66 rated, has a CCT range of 1500 Kelvin to 20,000 Kelvin, but only has a maximum output of 1700 lux at 3 meters 5600 Kelvin. This one weighs about 18 kilograms or 39.7 pounds. The Skypanel X does feature a full spectrum RGB ACL color engine, so red, green, blue, amber, cyan, and lime, so you're getting a much higher quality light. Now what's kind of interesting is if you look at the Arri Skypanel series and compare them to the Godox P1200R, they are very similar in design. Also the front adapter and the diffusion panel that slides in is pretty much identical to the design of the Arri Skypanel. Alright, so if you are looking for a super high output LED panel that's full RGB, has a ton of modifiers available, has an excellent weather rating, and lots of control options, the Godox P1200R Hard Pro is definitely a great option. It's actually pretty much the only option, as far as I know, that combines all these features at this price range. So if you want to check it out for yourself, I will leave a link for you down in the video description. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!